Hello, everyone. Looking all right. Waiting for this camera to get caught up. Oh, there's a good group in here already. How are you? If you all can hear me, let me know. Doesn't sound like you can. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Can y'all hear me? Okay, good. Just checking. Because I'm not seeing my mic move. Okay, thanks. A little bit of technical difficulties. YouTube is having a little bit of issues tonight. So we'll just get started, though. Not a big deal. And, I want to start off, if you guys haven't heard the news, because there is some good news. Mahomes appears to be just fine. I thought this was the game that I was really impressed with. The biggest aspect of the game that I was really impressed with was that he just basically came out firing like he was mid-season last season. So I feel good about where he's at and what he's doing. Now, the injury today, we were updated and found out that it is just a sprain, nothing long long timeline to worry about. Might hamper him for a week or two, but between rehabilitation, stim, ice, the whole 9 yards, and being able to get that treatment and get the offense kind of shifted a little bit, I think it's going to be fine. Now, what does it do? That foot, making it not quite so easy to drive off of. I think what we saw in the game was that it limited some of his ability to drive off of it. And you saw after the injury, his passes became shorter. They became faster to get them out so he didn't get hit. And I think that's good. I think that's really ought to be what the goal is. So, so far, so good. Now, how bad that affects him next week, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think some quick hitters are probably going to be good. I think what it's going to see, and I'll talk about this in the game plan, is a little bit of a shift of how they use the backs and Mecole Hardman and what the motion looks like. So, all said, Pat Mahomes is on MVP track. I know he's battling Lamar Jackson of all people right now, but, coming out like that in your first week after having had the offseason to kind of put everything back together after a great rookie campaign, I think that's really positive. I think that's what they needed to see. So, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Tonight's beer, for anybody asking, this is Oak Spire from New Belgium, and it's aged in Knob Creek barrels, which is always kind of interesting. So, couple announcements before we get going. I know you guys are starting to ask questions. We'll get there. Just want to say thank you to everybody who's ever been on this channel, whether it's tonight or just watching the videos. I see there's a couple of new people in here. Welcome. The conversation's great in here, and I have a blast doing these Q&As. We hit 10,000 subs, which is a big deal. It's going to unlock some things for the channel, some new content that I'll be able to do, some new additives for helping the channel in terms of like being able to sell gear and stuff like that. I know a lot of people have been asking about the shirts that I started making about Welcome to the Kingdom and try to get the bandwagon kids out of the way. So those are available in Teespring. They'll be in the show notes and that kind of stuff. But this makes that thing kind of easier. If you want to help out, another way is the super chat like we're in tonight. And that's that little $ emblem down by where you type in your comments. If you do want to, that's great. No pressure at all, but thank you. But if you do, make sure you ask a question so I can give you something for it right now today. The other big thing is we passed 1 million minutes watched. I'm sorry, not 1 million minutes watched, 3 million minutes watched, 1 million views on the channel. And that's kind of a milestone as well. So that all happened in this week prior to the first game. So I appreciate you guys and everything that you've done for me and to keep this thing going. I kind of started it on a whim and it looks like it's going to work out. So that said, the injury to Ty Hill, before we start on the questions, the injury to Ty Hill is more significant. It is a thing that you kind of see in more like velocity oriented accidents, car accidents, motorcycle accidents, those kind of things. That's why they took him to the hospital and they were worried and they were checking him out. It appears he didn't have, he had a subluxation where the joint actually kind of shifts, but they didn't feel they needed to fix it with surgery. And that's a big plus. So the prospects of his return are anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks, something like that. A lot of conjecture about him going on IR. I have no idea. I have no insider info from anyone saying that that's what they're thinking. I'm sure it's part of the evaluation, but I think it's going to be a little bit longer to get that evaluation solid where they want to make a choice. So I think that's where they're at right now, which is perfectly fine. Take your time. There's no rush. I think Sammy certainly showed you what he's capable of when Tyreek's not around. So that's just fine. I think it's great that Sammy took that step out of his shell, and all his work this offseason has paid off. I'm really impressed with that and the work that the training staff did to help him get right. I know Rick Burkhalter and his people did a lot of preemptive stuff, a lot of body redesign. We used to do it in strength conditioning too, but the trainers are more medical based than strength coaches are. But we used to see deficiencies on one leg or another, or torso, core, that kind of thing, and we would have to work on that. But he seems to have made a lot of corrections in one offseason, and I'm really excited for him. I expect this to be his greatest season. So that said, the defense looked solid. I'm sure we'll get into it. So we'll just get into it. If you haven't checked out the Locked On Chiefs podcast, we're doing a lot of great stuff over there. Our regulars are back, and we're adding some new wrinkles. If you happen to be with me on the run versus pass thing, welcome to Team Ryan. If you're with Seth, we'll talk later. But there's options there as well. So that said, I'll get into the questions here, and I didn't want to miss Marshall Smith. Looks like you had the first one tonight. Thank you. We could potentially get rid of Ragland if we don't hold on to him. You mentioned probably won't get a corner for him. Trade value is tough for an inside linebacker. There are teams that will value him more because he can play on first and second down against the run. But clearly it's not going to be a corner for Ragland. Ragland would be part of a package that would include draft picks. I do think he has value though. So I think they can get something done, and he can help them get something done. I personally don't want to see it because I'm a fan of his, but if they're not going to use him, I'd rather him play for someone else than just sit on the bench. But thanks for asking the question. Let's see here. Justin Jones, did the defense show enough progress so far? Yeah, I thought as a first outing, I felt like they did pretty well. You saw them much, much better against the run. And again, that's part of why maybe they felt they could sit Ragland, because they felt like the front was doing enough to be better against the run, especially against a guy like Fournette, which I was a little worried about. I think the concepts of what they're doing in the secondary is working. They need better execution from their corners specifically, but you'll also see better from the safeties. Matthew even said that he's got work to do. And when Tyron's going to be honest like that, that's great, because that means that he's going to push himself and Thornhill. And I think that's what makes you better. So that's a positive. Let's see. Who's next? Metal Rocker. Hey, bud. Have you heard how long Tyreek's going to be out? Just an estimate. Like I said before, that's really going to be it. When I know more, I'll let you guys know. Ian Connis, why wasn't Hardman used? He played a ton of snaps. I just don't think it was in the playbook to really feature him. And when Tyreek went down, it kind of left you with Sammy and Kelce as the targets. But even though he's playing Tyreek's position, you don't want to shift the emphasis to Hardman in his first game. I think you're going to see a lot more from him in the second game, because he drew coverage. He dropped his only target though. So, a little bit of nerves, whatever. Let's let him get over it. I think he'll be fine. I think this week against the Raiders, you're going to see him more. Andy, how about them Chiefs? Red Rocker, how long should it take for us to get a better defense? I think by week 5 or 6, you're going to see improvement. There's a lot of wrinkles, and they got to get things kind of shorn up, especially in the secondary, but I think they're going to get there. I think we're going to be happy with how they perform this year. Dr. Sanitary, how are you? Veach has been reluctant to trade a lot of picks because he feels like he's playing from behind. Absolutely. With the Pats getting AB, do you think Veach will spend big for a corner? It's still tough. I think he still doesn't want to give up his number one, but I think AB going to the Patriots, knowing that they have AB, Gordon, Edelman. I mean, you can say what you want about the rest of the guys there, but those three in particular, this team's going to have a hard time with right now. So, yeah, I think it makes him open to spending a second, maybe 2 seconds. I don't know. And then again, it might open some other doors depending on how other teams do. So let's see how this progresses. I think they're working on something. They're trying to find someone who's ready to move on, but I don't know that it's there yet. So we'll see how it comes to fruition. Morbian 13, did you notice the Jalen cheap shot on Tyreek? Yeah, and I said it, I don't know if it was on the podcast or on the post-game show last night. The hit was legal. I didn't have a problem with the hit. It's when he got up and Tyreek's still on the ground and he kicks him. I got a problem with that. And the refs should have flagged him for that. It should have been very straightforward. So that and Miles Jack pulling Mahomes' helmet off. He was trying to pull his head off. 2 hands on the face mask and he gave it a tug. That's a penalty that they missed. That's pretty blatant. You could see fines for both those guys as the film guys go over it and actually rewatch the games from all the angles. So it is what it is. Wolverine, thank you. I appreciate. And here's your question. We saw Ward get taken advantage of Sunday. Yes. Will we see a trade for CB this week, or should we trade for a corner like Slay, Bowie, or Peterson? I just don't know if any of those are ever going to go anywhere. If the Cardinals tank, they might consider it. If the Jags really fall apart, possibly, but I doubt it. Honestly, I don't know that I want Bowie either. After the way that he played yesterday, he got taken to town a couple of times by the speed of the Chiefs, and quite honestly, he acted like a child, like the rest of them. So, but there could be something in the future as the weeks go by. A couple of losses could break something loose. Firefighter Farmer, how are you? Does Tremont Smith not playing mean he's gone? Not necessarily, but I think it could be. That's kind of where my gut lies. But with the Tyreek thing, if they end up putting him on IR, I think Smith stays and they get that back. So that's where I think it's at. There's a lot to be determined still. Ian, what did you think of Damian Wilson? I was really pleased with his play. He missed a couple of things. There's one run, I think, in the first quarter that Fournette just kind of took off on an outside zone. And Wilson undercut it. He didn't take a great angle. And honestly, I think it's more of a credit to Fournette's lighter weight and better speed, but you could tell that he wasn't where Wilson expected him to be. There's a couple of things like that I saw, but overall, whether it be in coverage, definitely against the run, I was really happy with Wilson. He is the second best linebacker on this team. And I think he's got room for upside too. So good question. Big Test, how are you? Who do you think gets more targets and who's more productive, Hardman or Robinson? I think Robinson's probably going to get more targets, and I think Hardman's going to be more productive because Hardman just has that physical ability that Robinson doesn't. But Robinson is trusted, and I think because he knows the offense better, I think he's likely to get more targets. We'll see. Hardman did play more snaps, so that could be reversed too. I hope so. I want to see Hardman play more than Robinson, because whether you're a Robinson guy or you're like me and have been underwhelmed, you kind of know what he is already. So I'd like to see Hardman go a little bit more. Good question. Scott Meza, thanks for your donation. I didn't see a question though, Scott, so come back to me, okay? Finn, should a second string QB be giving our defense a problem? I wouldn't put it like that. I think Gardner Minshew actually outplayed his draft stock, his whole process. I think it was more him being excellent than the Chiefs being bad. I think they might have found their quarterback of the future in Jacksonville because that kid was on fire. Now, the Chiefs secondary isn't the greatest, but still he was moving the ball well. He was throwing completions. He made some good decisions. I think he's going to be pretty good. So I'll give more of the credit to him than the blame to the defense. Brian Gooch, thanks, bud. No Ragland, no Smith, trade bait for a corner. Yeah, possibilities. It all depends on who needs what. And maybe together. I don't know. Again, a couple more weeks may open up some more holes in other rosters that maybe make some more GMs motivated to move players. Corner's a tough one. Everybody needs them, and good ones don't go cheap. So, let's see. Marshall Edwards, on the pod, you guys said that Ragland wasn't active and possibly being saved for a trade. Haven't heard anything. Or do you have any other ideas? It could just be that they really weren't worried about Fournette because of how strong their front was, and they wanted Lee because of the pass rush ability or pass coverage ability. I mean, I think what we might see if Reggie is destined to stay on the roster, I think it's going to be a little give and take about who the opponent is and how they run their offense to be whether he gets playing time or not. So I don't know. We're going to find out. I think they're trying to find a way to use him, and I think they'll keep trying till they do. Dylan Kruckman, thank you. And thank you for last night again. What's the over-under on how many times Colquitt punts this year? I don't know. One a game. I'm going to put it at 25, and I might take the under. That's like a punt and a half a game. So I don't know. They're moving pretty well so far. There will be a hiccup, I'm sure, but I don't know when. Ian Connis, do you think they'll bring Cody Thompson up to help? I don't think so. I don't think that's the answer they're looking for. I think with Dat's return, I think allows them to keep Smith, and I think they really like that. And I think they'd rather have Smith on the active roster and keep Cody where he is for now. That may change later in the season, but we'll see what happens with Hill. If he goes to IR, that kind of changes the scenario, but I don't know. We'll see. Scott Mesa, do you see pass rush as more of a zone mixed with man on defense? Scheme-wise, I think the pass rush was a little slow, a little not quite finishing, and I think that's what it exposed the back end. I think they mixed their zone versus man stuff okay in the secondary, but I do expect to see more zone blitz. I expect to see more blitz, period, and I do expect to see them move players around. Saw Jones line up on the opposite side from Clark once. That's the only time that it really stood out to me, but I expect more of that as well. Let's see. Scott Lever, Raider week. Who on offense and defense are you looking to stop or slow down? Josh Jacobs is a good back. I think he's probably got to be the focus right off the bat. This whole Raider wide receiver core is kind of a question mark now without AB. I don't know. I think it might be Waller, whatever his name is, and Foster, the tight ends that they try to work through. So that might be the focus. I can see that causing some problems in coverage for the Chiefs. So let's see if that's the way that they go. John Coy, what's your take on the defensive effort? I assume you meant. I thought it was good. I thought they gang tackled. I thought they were working together. I thought they were communicating better. I think they're off to a good start, but need to see more. Need to see. There was a couple of mishaps. When I get the all-22, I'll take a look. I'll be looking at Watkins and Thornhill this week. But Matthew said he's got a couple of things to clean up too. So I think there was some miscommunication, particularly on the Chark TD that went over Fuller, who was in decent position. He just couldn't stop the pass. But he should have had help over the top from one of the safeties. I just got to figure out which one it was. Impressed with Dr. Sanitary. Impressed with Rashad Breeland, good tackler and solving coverage. Yeah, and he almost came up with a PB or with a pick. He got a PBU. I think Breeland in zone, you're starting to see what he can be, and I think that's how you're going to protect him, and he's going to play well. How they mix it up is going to come down the line. That they just got to keep it fresh. Nathan Roth, did the game cut out when you were watching it? Yes, I haven't seen the last 7 minutes either. I'm real interested to see whether they caught it on all 22 and they're going to post that. I will let you guys know if they do. And I know somebody asked me to show the Clark interception. If it is, I'll definitely grab that for the Wednesday or Thursday video now that the schedule shifts. I don't know which day it'll be out. Depends when I get the all 22, but the midweek video is going to be on a film. I'll just start the film room series again. Let's see. Gary Holland. McCoy, great pickup. Do you feel that he'll be able to close a lot of games? Yes, and I think he and Damian are a really nice 1-2 punch. I will say that folks are kind of down on Damian Williams, but you have to look at the way he was used to, and that's going to be in the Wednesday video too. A lot of zone, a lot of downhill runs were called when LaShawn was in, and a lot of wide sweeps, get to the corner type stuff was called when Damian was in there, and a little short yardage. So I think he had a little bit of a disadvantage in terms of how they were attacking the Jags defense. Let's see. Damian, I do think they'll go after a corner eventually if they can. It's about value, I think, at this point. S. Burke, first off. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And your question is, I understand wanting to bring pressure from every angle, but it seems that with the corner situation, they should stick more to linebacker blitzes and let the guys cover. That's true, but unfortunately, especially like the safety blitzes, those are some of the most effective that Spagnuolo has. So if you can stop the quarterback from being able to complete a pass, I don't know that it matters whether it's on the back end or the front end. So I would like to see some overloads, and they got to get into the twist and stunt kind of game here pretty quick. Binder Believer, thank you very much. That's a big donation, and I appreciate it. I just don't see a question there, bud. So make sure that I can get you something. Come back later. Let's see. John Coy, what's your take on the defensive effort? Oh, I already gave that. Okay. Ian Connis, do you trust Ward as the starter for most, if not all the season? No, I haven't. I've been telling you guys all off season. He's a fourth string guy. Fourth corner and second string. He should not be a starter. He's just not experienced enough. He's got the upside, but he needs to grow in a way that he isn't getting taken advantage of constantly like we saw. But I told you when Fuller and Breland are out there, it's Ward that teams are going to try to attack. So especially if they see him in zone, that's going to be the way that it goes for a while until he figures out what he's doing in zone better. I think when Mo Claiborne comes back, he's going to start, and I think that's going to be a good situation. I just don't know if they have an over-the-top, guy that they can really rely on to shut another team's number one down. Let's see. Ian. Oh, yeah, that was Ian's question. Good job. Kevin Miller, do you see anything concerned about Ward? Yeah, just that he doesn't seem to be understanding zone yet. So giving up a lot of plays, not tracking very well. It's a different mentality than playing man. Although he got beat up a little bit in man too. So what can I tell you? Next question. Scott Meza. What was your take on third down defense? They got off the field enough. They only played like 58 snaps. It was like 22 snaps less than their average last year. That's huge. They gave a couple of thirds up, but I think overall they were playing better ball all the way around. Firefighter, sorry. I talked about Ragland. Okay. Gary, how do you feel the Chiefs will do against the Ravens? That's a great question, Gary Holland. I think the Ravens are becoming the team that they need to worry about. I think you guys caught me in the offseason when we were talking draft, and I told you about Hollywood Brown and how game-changing his speed is, even though like Mecole and even like Tyreek, he's a small guy. Didn't seem to bother him yesterday, though, did it? Now, again, that was inferior competition he was facing. But Hollywood Brown is incredible, and I think he's got a big career in front of him. And I think the tight end there is very good. I'm interested to see how they run the ball. I'm waiting for Ingram to get hurt and so on and so forth, but we'll see when it comes to Ravens week, and we'll revisit for sure. Curtis Douglas, how are you? If all these players are wanting out of Miami, would you take Xavier Howard? I would, but they're seeing him as a commodity. They're going to want to get top dollar for him. So I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think Veach will give up a number one. So I think that's a long shot. You got to find somebody else. Nurse Lover, will we beat New England? That's the big question now, because you'll have Mo back, but there's 5 receivers on that roster that can run. That's going to be a tough one. And they have to come up with not only man coverage, but some scheme that will protect themselves. This is where Steve Spagnuolo is going to make his money this year. So I'm really interested to see how they come about it. And I'll have a better idea for you when we get closer. But right now I see it neck and neck. I think it's going to be a shootout again. Not everybody's going to look like the Patriots looked yesterday against the Steelers. So I'm still leaning a little bit towards Mahomes and his crew. So we'll see. Yes, Aaron Morrow. Anthony Sherman was on. The sausage did his job yesterday. Nathan, will Williams and McCoy keep sharing carries? Yes, I think it's going to be roughly a 50-50 mix eventually. It was about 60-40 yesterday. Williams getting more. I think it will be about half and half eventually. Going on. Justin Trova, are the Chiefs where you thought they'd be at this point? They're a little bit ahead. I thought the offense looked mid-season form from last year, so the offense is a little bit ahead of where I expected. The defense is where I was hoping. So maybe they're a little bit ahead too. So yeah, I think overall it was a positive first week, especially in a tough physical environment with that kind of heat against a nasty team that was honestly playing fairly dirty and just beyond chippy. You know what I mean? So yeah, those guys, they're gonna fall apart. You watch the downward spiral the Jacksonville Jaguars go on right now. Let's see. Ian, would you throw Robinson into a trade to get a solid CB? I have no problem with that. I don't think Andy Reid's going to go for that. I think Andy Reid likes his familiarity with the offense, and I don't think he's ready to move on. Nathan, are the Ravens that good, or was it just the Dolphins trying to get Tua? That's the question. It's a bad sign when you bench Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was the guy that I would probably go after rather than Howard. But, man, they put Flores in a bad situation. Yeah, I mean, how do you get Rosen and then take away his left tackle and his probably best receiver? And then you throw Fitz in there and try to make Fitz like manufacture something. Like the whole organization is off. It's just ridiculous. They're going for the gutter and they're going to get there. Justin Trobe, is there any news on the Jones contract? No, I think it's kind of dominoes. It's one track at a time. And I know that there is some feeling that this may be he's got to prove it all season long. So if it doesn't happen until next season, maybe even after a franchise tag designation, I'm not going to be surprised. Okay, Scott Mesa, thoughts on Thornhill. I'll go over this on Wednesday as well, but I thought Thornhill came downhill really well. I thought he was more helpful in the run game than I expected. I saw him on one blitz. I'll have to watch the All-22 to try to recount it some more. I thought he did well there. I thought he was generally where he needed to be. He made a couple open field tackles, and I thought those were executed well. A couple times he was late getting to where he needed to be, especially when he is playing that over-the-top last line of defense. So I want to see improvement there. But again, once I get a look at the All-22, I'll have a better idea. And I will put it into the midweek video. Richard Whitehead, when Mo Claiborne comes back off suspension, will he start across from Breeland? Yes, I think he will. And yes, I think it will be a fairly solid upgrade. Not like super significant, but he can play everything. I think it will be a definite upgrade over Ward. Scott Avila, pat in the pocket too much. No, I don't think so. And he's going to be there going forward because of the foot. He's not going to be able to sprint out too much. So I kind of expect that to hold on. Richard Whitehead, thanks for your donation. Appreciate that. Zach Weller, what were your 4 favorite plays on both sides of the ball? Just the fact, it's not so much the play, because it was a simple curl route on Sammy's first touchdown, but the fact that he just juked a little bit, gave him a little stutter, and that broke him loose. And give DeMarcus Robinson credit. He sprung that play with his block. So that was one. I thought Agba really looked explosive on his sack, more so than I had seen all season. But there was another play that I really liked where it was just a gang tackle. It was like a 2-yard gain, and everybody was there, and that's solid football. So I was really happy to see that. Let's see. What are your thoughts on and with the Pats? Okay, I kind of gave those before, Justin. I need to see more out of them, and I need to see them beat better competition. I think that the Steelers are a little bit haphazard right now. I think, wow, man, Ben's close to the end, I think, and Mike Tomlin has lost that roster. So I have no idea what's going on there. That might just be a bad roster. Scott Mazey, yes, it does test his pocket presence because of the ankle. He will be fine. And in a couple of weeks, I think he's going to be back to normal. Big test, judging from how efficient Shady was with his touches, do you think he'll get 1,200 yards possible? No, I really don't. Because, excuse me, good Lord. I really don't, because I think he's not going to get that many touches. And quite frankly, he was really efficient with his touches yesterday. So I don't think you can expect that every time. But I think they're going to keep trading off, and I think it's going to be good. Maybe not 8 yards a carry good. Let's see. Tommy Sparks, are you surprised Clark and Okafor got 0 sacks? I kind of am. Like I said, they were getting pressure, but they weren't getting home. And so that has to come up a level as well. And I think Frank Clark's going to be one to drive that. Metal Rocker, how many sacks do you think Frank and Okafor will get from rushing from the sides? I still think Frank's good for probably 12, maybe even 15 sacks. He's just got to get on a roll. It's a new system, new thing. I'm going to let that one slide. Anthony Avila, are they coaching Pat to stay in the pocket too much? No, I don't think so. I think he knows that was a fast defense. If he does venture outside the pocket, he has less time, and those guys were really coming for his head. So I have no problem with that. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks. If he's just staying in there for no reason, then we'll start to talk about it. Arch29BL, thank you very much for the donation. Appreciate it. Jerry, do we lean more on the run now because of Hill? Maybe a little bit, but Andy's Andy. He wants to throw the ball, and there are plenty of other guys that he wants to see catch the ball. So maybe a couple carries a game, but not much. Gary Holland, do you think the offensive coordinator Bieniemy get a head coaching job next year? It all depends on how many games he actually calls. And Andy will let people know about that. I think you probably got him in 2020 still, but after that, he's probably gone. Biggest worry after week 1, Jeff Lever. Good question. The cornerback. Yeah. I think everything else is going to work itself out. It's the corners that bother me. Arch29, there's your question. Do you have an issue with CB after film? I will. I'm pretty sure, but we haven't seen the film yet. I think it'll tell week 5 is too much fuss. Claiborne will help. You're right. And they have a game or two here that they can get through. Kay Paddock, how are you? I'm glad you caught it live too. Good job. I know that you've had trouble getting here in the past, so welcome. I'm glad you made it. Now, where'd your question go? Is Ward really that bad or just a bad game? That's the question. I don't know. We're going to see. If it was all man, I think he would have played better, to tell you the truth. But it's also, it's a progression. He's going to learn from those mistakes, and he'll keep moving forward. I just think he needs more time. I just don't think he should be a starter yet. He's a fine corner. I just think he's a number 1 backup rather than a starter, in my mind. Scott Meza, do you see us using McCoy as clock management when playing the Patriots? Possibly. My thought is that you have to go for the throat and you need to keep the hammer down the entire time. So I don't know that Andy's going to worry about clock management. He rarely does. So why would he start now? Jay Jones. If the Chiefs hire you to join the scout team, would you take the job? I would entertain anything the Chiefs want me to do. Being a scout is not my goal. Those guys work their butts off, and they travel a lot and don't see their families. I have small kids. I am a consultant that is open to the league, and I am making ventures that way too. If the Chiefs want to hire me as a consultant, I'm more than happy to help. They are the team that I pull for, and they're the first team that I called when I started my business. So let's see. Maxwell, did Miko get used properly? I think not, but I can't complain with the result. I think Miko is in a process. I think he had to step into a different role because of the injury to Hill. So, yeah, I think he got used properly. He's a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver that knows all 3 positions because that's what Andy Reid demands. I have no problem with the way they used him. I think he'll get better at being used as the Z-Sum in some of the motion packages. I expect more from him in week 2, 3, and 4. Clapsy squad, I appreciate that. Tell them, will you? Does Pringle get a chance this week, Arch? That's a good question. Pringle played, I think, 3 snaps. So with the injury, I think they kind of just went with their game plan as it was and the guys they had spun up. I think he does get more snaps this week. I don't know if it's going to be a lot, but I think he could get up to maybe 10, 15 snaps. I think that's good. Let's see what he can do against real competition in a real game, even though it is just the Raiders. I'm Nathan Roth. What worries you about the Raiders? Richie Incognito and Vontaze Burfict. Those are the guys that worry me because they're dirty. I don't care who you are. They are the 2 dirtiest players in this league. And so watch your ankles, watch your ribs, close your eyes when you get in a pile. Ian Connis, what do you think of Okafor's performance? Looked solid. Should have had a pick 6. I agree. He's going to want that one back. And I've seen him make those plays. So I think it was just a little overexcitement. I don't know. I think Okafor is going to have a big season. I think he's going to be the cleanup guy because I think the attention is going to be so on Clark and Jones. I think Okafor is going to help quite a bit. Dr. Sanitary, what do you think of the national media writing our defense is horrible already? I think they're sad. I think they didn't watch very well. So that's what Seth likes to call box score scouting by the national media. So we'll see what happens. When Brian Baldinger tells me they're bad, I'll start listening. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry, Finn. Let's see here. Somebody's hidden. Let me show this real quick. Oh, I had to kind of skipped around. Sorry, guys. Firefighter. Yep. Sorry, Andy. That was me. Let's see. Question. Okay, Aaron Morrow, how are you? Thanks for joining again. I like Breeland and Ward better in man, but Ward definitely needs some kind of help in zone. Do you think Breeland only does well in zone? I won't say only, but I think he's definitely better in zone. He can play some man. They had him in the slot last year a lot, playing the nickel back in Green Bay, and he did all right. He made a couple of big plays, and his completion percentage allowed was like second lowest of his career, so he can do it. But I think he's best in zone, and I think he is a guy that is able to make some plays in zone. So I'm looking forward to an increased chance and potential for turnovers from playing zone with this particular group of corners. Dr. Sanitary, what do you think of the national media? Oh, I already answered your question. Sorry, I'm scrolling badly. Lazarus Dreschler, is Watkins faster than Hill? No, he is not. Not on clocked time. It's quite drastic, actually, by about 14 hundredths of a second, if I remember correctly. Here's the thing. He accelerates well. He's not Tyreek Hill, but it all looks close when you're that fast. I mean, he ran a 4.34, I believe it was. So, no, 4.38, sorry, for Sammy. Very, very fast. Hardman and Hill are incredible as a trio. So, it just looks that way when you don't see Hill and him back to back. Let's see. Aaron. Oh, no, I answered yours. Does Sammy get 1,200 yards this season, Scott Meza? I think he can, especially depending if it's like 6-8 games for Hill. I think he will. Dolphins 2020 first round pick. Yeah. They're going for Tua as far as I can tell. Okay, Aaron, who do you realistically think we could trade for a corner right now? I think maybe Minkah Fitzpatrick. You might be able to pry Janoris Jenkins, but it's going to cost you. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking if the Cardinals can win a few games, maybe they feel like they don't need Pat Peterson anymore. I don't know. That's what I'd be selling if I was Brett Veach. Look, your new quarterback's going to make up all you need for him. So I'll take Pat off your hands for a song. Gary Holland, how many teams do you think will have a hard time when Brady throws Edelman going across the middle? Everybody does. Edelman is the one guy in the athletic matrix for the last 8 seasons that has outscored Tyreek Hill in change of direction scores. Edelman is just too quick out of his cuts. That's why he's always open. And nobody can really cover him. Even the fastest corners, there's nobody with that score on the defensive side. So I can tell you that's why his game is what it is. Nate Combs, I don't know if anyone mentioned this, but just read that Hill won't go on IR, so he'll probably return somewhat soon. Okay, great. Yeah, I've been recording all evening and stuff, so I'm about 3 hours behind on news. Red Royce, how do you feel Jones did? I assume you mean Chris Jones. I thought he pushed the pocket real well. He didn't look quite as explosive as he should have been. Maybe the weather was bothering. He looked strong, and he did move the pocket a lot. I thought he was consistently getting pressure. Just need him to finish now. Justin Troba, OB and the Pats. I think you mean AB and the Pats. Was that a good thing to do? No. Anyone signing Antonio Brown is asking for trouble. The one guy that can probably bully him into behaving is Bill Belichick. So I think it may work for them. Can you explain how paying Mahomes this offseason will be cheaper in the long run than just waiting until his contract is up, Nathan Roth? Here's the thought. The CBA may change. and it may really, really increase the salary cap and some of the rules around it. So the thought is get it now under the current CBA where you understand the structure. There's a lot of experience, at doing the contracts, and it's fear of the unknown, basically. I don't know if that's the way they're leaning, because quite frankly, the kid's making enough money with every other endorsement under the sun, and you have fifth-year options on first rounders for a reason. So I think it's a natural progression. I think the relationship is there that if they choose to just kind of take the natural path and wait, I think it'll be okay. And I don't think it's going to be like a fallout with Reed and Veach versus Mahomes or anything like that. So I think in the end, they'll do what's best for the organization. I think all three of them think that way. KC69, how are you? Do you think... Sorry, who do you think will challenge us for the number 2 seed in the playoffs? Pats are going to get number 1 with a cupcake schedule. I agree. I think Ravens could be 3 with a tiebreaker game for a number 2 seed, possibly. There's something about the Colts that just tells me that they're not going to lose that much. It's a big loss in Andrew Luck, but I think the team is better. So I don't know. I still feel like they and the Texans are in the hunt for the South. The North's right now, it looks like the Ravens, you could be absolutely right, and the Pats. So I feel like it's going to be the Chiefs and the Pats battling for 1. I don't think, despite even the cupcake schedule, I think the Chiefs are going to be 14-2 at the end of the regular season. I just don't know if that's good enough to be a 1 or not. I think the head-to-head against the Patriots is going to be what determines it. Jerry Cole, what are your thoughts on the Browns? Are the Titans as good as the Browns, just that bad? The Browns have a lot of potential, but they got a first-year head coach with a bunch of personalities on there that don't necessarily believe in team first, any of them. So I don't know. I just don't know. But I also think that Vrabel's doing a good job, and I think the Titans are better than they were, especially on the defensive side. And I think if Derrick Henry can actually run instead of messing around, trying to cut whatever. I think he got too cute for a first couple of years in the league, and I think he started to figure out, I can just go back to just trucking. And I like Derrick Henry, and I like the way he ran in college, and I think you're starting to see him go back to that. I think it's going to be good for him. Carlos said the most feared team in the NFL right now is the Patriots. The Chiefs are close behind, but it is the Patriots. Jake asks, is Miles Jack trying to get signed by the Patriots? No, he just signed a huge extension in Jacksonville. There's something wrong with him. He's either, taking PEDs or he's just thinking he's better than he was. He got frustrated very early. You can go back and look at the second Sammy Watkins touchdown. He was irate afterwards. The guy I think they think they're better than they are, all of them in Jacksonville. And when it breaks down, you just saw a bunch of kids losing their tempers. Cole Keeler, how many weeks do you think it will take for Shady to take over the RB1? I don't know that he will. By take over, do you mean like get the 60%? There will be games where he gets 60% and Williams gets 40. But I don't call that taking over. That's still a really good split. So I think they intend to use both of them all season. I think that's a sound strategy. Nathan Roth, why don't you call yourself a Chiefs fan? Because I'm an analyst and I'm working in media and I want to work in the league. So I tried not to be a fan. I try to be a cold-hearted analyst first. That's why, because eventually I will work for somebody or I will consult for some team or teams in the league. And I'm trying to maintain that professionalism. That's where I'm coming from. Gary Holland, can 810 hire you? I have some friends at 810. We get along. If they need something, we could maybe work something out. Problem is I live in Colorado, so it'll all be remote. But good idea there. Justin Troba, if Mahomes does get hurt, could Matt get us to the Super Bowl? That's a great question. Matt Moore was coaching high school last year. I just don't know. We'll see how many reps he takes this week and how they feel about it. And if he has to play, that's when we're going to find out. I honestly have no way to tell you, man. Man, that's a great question. And one that's a little scary too, right? Dean 3121. I know it's only week 1, but do you see the defense being good enough to handle the Patriots? But I don't see the defense. Um, yeah, I guess I could agree with that. Right now, I still feel the Patriots have an advantage over the defense, but I see the potential to get there. And I think a couple more things, they'll slow them down enough that Mahomes can do his thing, and I think they can win in a shootout, unlike what they did last year. Okay, Airmar, did AB act the way with the Raiders to get where he really wanted to be in the first place? That could be. Um, I don't give him that much credit. I think that guy's crazy. I think he's lost touch with reality, to tell you the truth, from the way he behaved in Pittsburgh, um, all the way through this whole thing. I can't say that I think that that was his plan all along. I know that the Patriots were interested, and he was interested in them the first time around, but the Steelers just wouldn't give him up for anything that wasn't crazy because they didn't want him in the AFC, which makes perfect sense. But his reaction when he found out he was released tells you all you need to know. Like, he wanted to be there. He feels he can win there. Like many veterans that go to the Patriots, that's why. So, yeah. Nurse Lover, do the Raiders pay Antonio Brown to screw up in New England? No. I wish they did, though. I don't know that he will. I think Belichick and Brady are strong enough that I don't think he's going to get away with that there. Arch 29, does Veach really want to give up another first for a corner? No, he doesn't. That's why it hasn't happened yet. If he wanted to give up a first, they'd have Pat Peterson or maybe even Xavier Howard, but he doesn't want to. So that's what it is. Lolip, yeah, he has played safety. He played corner in college. He can play corner as well. I'm not sure where he lined up yesterday, but I can take a look. Bottom line is he didn't play well, so they benched him in the second half. That's Mika Fitzpatrick, folks. Sorry, I kind of jumped questions there. Metal Rocker, the Texans are up 14-3 on the Saints. Do you think Kelce is a better blocker with run plays? No, he looks about the same to me, and I'm a little surprised the Texans are up that much, but Deshaun is coming on. And I think you're seeing it kind of play out the way I fully admit I had Deshaun Watson 1A and Mahomes 1B in their draft class. And I had Trubisky way farther down, and I think that's starting to show. Dwight Raleigh, is it me, or does it look like the corners and safeties are giving up a lot of big chunk plays? Yeah, they are. They got to get things shored up, but I think they can. Jake R., how much does AB to the pass bring the Chiefs offense down to earth? It doesn't do anything in the Chiefs offense. If anything, it gives them a little more fire because now it's more of a shootout. The question is going to be what the Chiefs defense can do against AB and Edelman and Gordon if he's still there. Nothing against Gordon, but he's kind of a mess too. So I don't know. See if he can make it through a season. Cole Healer, do you see another lockout on the horizon? I think it's a distinct possibility. There's been a lot of animosity the last 10 years with the groups back and forth, so I won't discount anything. I know they tried to get negotiations going for the new CBA early. I think that's smart so they can try to get it done, but I just don't know if they're going to budge on some of the issues they each have. It'll be fun to watch. Let's see. Jake R., is K-Pass on his way to being elite? Maybe as elite as Flacco? No. I don't think that's in the cards, but I think K-Pass is on his way to being a solid guy. He needs to be featured more. He needs to get solid, and then in a year or two, maybe he can become that much better. Elite's kind of a stretch for me to see from here, but you never know. Maybe it clicks, and maybe this staff, and maybe Daly's the guy. I will never say no to that. Jace Goodwin, thanks, bud. I appreciate that. McDonald's, you think we'll beat the Ravens? This team kind of scares me. I think they will. I think the Ravens looked really good against a really bad team. But I think the Chiefs will be able to more than likely outscore them. And at the end of the day, that's how you win ball games. Getting down to the end here, you guys. We're going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. Jeff Lever, can Watkins be a trade asset if he has a big year, or is contract too high for other teams? If he has a big year, contract doesn't matter. Teams want production. I just don't think the Chiefs are going to give up on him until, literally the off season if they ever tried to do that. So I think a restructure or an extension is in Sammy's future if he plays well. Let's see. Scott Meza, by week 4, do you see the defense coming together? Yeah, it might take 6 weeks, something like that. But I think when Mo Claiborne gets back, he's going to play. And I think a couple weeks after that, it should really round into form. Dr. Saturday, how much do you think Steve Spagnuolo will have against the Pats this year? Quite a bit. They're going to be aiming for him, gaining on him, whatever they want to do. Everybody wants out of the shadow of Bill Belichick, and almost no one ever does it successfully. So, Daly isn't calling the shots, Spags is, but Spags has beaten Belichick's offenses before. So I'm not a big fan of McMinney, so I think Spags has the inside track there. Let's see. Gary, Ryan, how does Reed get more some playing time? More? I'm not sure who you're talking about. You mean Darwin Thompson? I don't know. I don't know who more meant, man. Ask me again, Gary. Elaborate on who that is. Scott Mesa, do you see Mahomes until we score? Does Andy play Mahomes until we score 40 and let Moore take over to heal as QB1? I don't know. Possibly. It looked like they were thinking about doing it yesterday. It all depends on how he heals up this first week. Jerry, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, you guys, hitting the like button always helps. Telling more folks to join the stream, that always helps. So I appreciate all that you guys are doing. Dr. Sanitary, thank you. It just came out that Hill will avoid IR. Good to know. Appreciate that. Let's see. Jay Kane, could Cheetah being sidelined for a couple of weeks be a blessing in disguise for the other receivers to get more work for later in the season? Jay Kane, that's exactly what it could be. Particularly Hardman, but Pringle some as well. The more that you can get Hardman touches and opportunities without having to put the pressure on him to be the guy, the better for Mecole Hardman's development. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that aspect of it. Jeff Lever, Josh Allen looked good for a rookie. Where did he rank in the athletic matrix? He was at the very top of it. I didn't want the Chiefs to go after him. I didn't feel he was a top 10 or top 15 pick because, quite honestly, he played better in coverage than he did rushing the passer. He was a speed rusher. But I admit he either heard me or his people had a great plan because he put on weight. He got a lot stronger. Now he can play an actual end successfully and play with strength. That's not something that I saw on his college tape very often. So Josh Allen has really come a long way in one offseason. Nathan Roth, will Ward and Breland have to be more productive, have a more productive year than Skandrick and Nelson? In terms of like PBUs and turnovers, yes, I think they will. I think the scheme helps them there. So that's what I'm looking for. Aaron Morrow, Agba looked the best that I thought in the pass rush. Do you have a different opinion? No, I agree. He looked spry, but I will say this. It was a couple of plays he looked real good on, and he was pretty average the rest of the time. I thought Frank and Chris Jones pushed the pocket a lot and just didn't get home. So I'm looking for the finish next week, a little more intensity. I know the weather was tough, so I'm putting that some into the equation. But I am looking for more from the stars. Low lip. I said Belichick's assembling the wide receiver core because he's scared of Mahomes, a quarterback that he finally cannot stop. Low lip. I think you're absolutely on it. You're not going to improve on Tom Brady, right? So in terms of overall, I would put them as the two best quarterbacks in the league, arguably with Breeze and Rodgers back there too. But if you can't upgrade your quarterback, you upgrade his weapons. And I think that's what they did. And give Bill Belichick credit. He's a mad scientist, but he is good at letting guys go and finding new talent to do specific things. What you saw from, was it Dorsett last night that scored those long touchdowns? Running out of the slot, getting free. Guys that have a knack for performing in his offense. That's what Bill Belichick's great at. And so, yeah, I agree. I think he is aiming specifically at being able to keep up scoring points with the Chiefs. Carl Anders, do you see us playing three safeties more against the Raiders? I don't know that that's what they want to do. I think they're trying to get through with two guys and get them as much time together as they can. Maybe they do. I don't see a reason to because of the wide receiver group. If you really feel like you can muscle up on the tight ends, Waller and Foster Moreau, loved him coming out of college, by the way. maybe you do put Dan in more so that he can go be in the box, be up on the line, and really try to jam those guys and physical them out. Because Dan's like 6'2". That's what he's best at, is playing near the line of scrimmage. So maybe you're right. Maybe it does. I'll take a look at that for the game plan on Friday. Brave Macaroon. I saw Ravens' Jimmy Smith had a knee injury. I'm not sure what kind. Any chance that he'll be out against the Chiefs? No way to tell at this point. I didn't see the report, and until they come out and tell me whether he's even practicing, I don't know. Red Royce, do you like the way that they put the thermometer on the Chiefs side of the field and had it off by 10 or more degrees? Yeah, hey. I do very, very little listening when Dan Fouts is calling a game, so I didn't even catch that. Sorry. Gary Holland, the backup QB getting playing time. He could. I think that's not a bad idea, especially because you didn't get any training camp with Matt Moore. So I think that's probably a good thing for the team. Oh, sorry, I'm losing focus here because I moved the mic. Scott Mesa, please do another post-game live. Sorry, I missed the last one. Okay, that's a good question. So I'm glad you liked it. It's a little tough. Like sometimes I'm not at home, so I don't have the studio or whatever, and I could probably do one from the phone. I just can't read questions. And I think you guys got the idea. Like the immediate post-game live I can do is more about me giving you my thoughts because I can't read the screen as much, and there's not time for questions like this because we're almost at an hour, and I feel like we haven't even gone over everything. So, yeah, I will try to keep doing that as long as you guys don't get frustrated that it's not really a Q&A session. It's really just about puking out my thoughts. But yeah, sure. No problem. It won't be every week, but I'll promise to do as many as I possibly can. So guys, look for that. It'll be post-game Sunday afternoon, evenings, depending on when they play. And then the Monday Q&As will continue. Hey, I love you guys too. Thanks for that, Marshall. Nathan, how many players do you see on the team that will make the Ring of Honor? Man, that's a tough one. There's so much to having the longevity to make that Ring of Honor that it's almost impossible to predict. I would say clearly Mahomes because he was drafted here. You're not going to see Clark or Matthew make it because they're not going to play here long enough. Today's league, I don't think careers are long enough for you to make that at your second team unless you're just superstar. So I could be wrong, but you never know. If Chris Jones works out in the long run, I think he has a shot. Maybe even Tyreek Hill if he makes it. I don't know. It's about longevity getting that Ring of Honor. So that I think that's the thing. Scott Mesa, do you like Noddy's performance? Yeah, I think because it was pass rush, they didn't play him that much. He played 19 snaps, but I thought he looked good. I saw him collapse pockets, and I saw him get in the backfield on some pass rush, especially play action a couple of times. Really happy with the way Noddy's playing, and I'm glad that they have him there. Dream CB trade that isn't Pat Pete, Jake R. Good question. Dream trade would be a second and a third rounder for Kevin King from the Packers because Kevin King, like Marcus Peters before him and like Byron Murphy after him, is a pure ball hunting zone corner that would fit perfectly across from Breland and Fuller in Spags' defense. I brought him up a couple of weeks ago. I really like the guy coming out, and he's only getting better. So, yeah, that'd be my dream trade. Super young, super productive. I think he'd be great. Okay, getting down to the end here, guys. Last couple questions. Your thoughts on Abrams and Thornhill being rookie safeties in next week's game? I think it's interesting. I think Abrams is great as a strong safety. I wasn't high on him in the draft because he doesn't play the way that the Chiefs needed him to play, but he's a good player. He's not that disciplined yet. What I saw in the preseason, I didn't. Obviously, we'll see what goes on with them tonight. In the preseason, I thought he was out of position quite a bit. I think he's more bravado than experience, obviously, right now because he's a rookie. But I think he's going to grow into a very good player. I just don't think he's going to be the game changer everybody wants him to be. He is a strong safety tackling machine, big hitter, intimidator kind of guy, like they wanted Carl Joseph to be. And we saw what happened with Carl Joseph. Put him out there every day of the week, as far as I'm concerned. But he's not a ball hawk. I don't think he's going to be a ball hawk. But I've been wrong about that before. Everybody can change. Once you're in the league, it's about developing yourself and your skills. So if that's what he wants to become, I won't say that I don't trust the guy to do it. So we'll see what he does. But that's a very good question. And I will tell you this. I had on my board, I had Juan Thornhill third, I think. I had Savage and Adderley back-to-back at the bottom of the first round, and then I had Thornhill in the middle of the second. So that tells you, and we're going to get to see all of them this season. So I'm pretty enthusiastic about where they've gone. And I will say this also. If you guys haven't checked out the Athletic Matrix at Rogue Analytics, my analytics company, give that a shot. If you guys need a code for a free copy or whatever, just shout at me. But Juan Thornhill was the top safety in the Athletic Matrix in the last 3 seasons. So that tells you what he's capable of. I'm pretty pumped about where his future is going. Scott Campbell, I know the Patriots are now the team to beat. Do you think the Chiefs can still make the Super Bowl if everyone is healthy? Yes, I definitely think they can. I think they can beat the Patriots. I don't know if it'll happen in the regular season. I don't really care if it's in the regular season. But I know that this Chiefs team can beat them. Aaron Morrow, Matthew looked like a chicken with his head cut off yesterday for the most part. Different opinion. I wasn't going to go that far, but yeah, he looked a little frenetic, a little back and forth. There were a couple of times where he missed one of his drops too. There was a pass off that I noticed that I didn't think went the way it was supposed to. I could be wrong. I won't know till the 22. But yeah, he even said on his own Twitter feed that, it was a good win, but I have things to work on. He does. Everybody does. It's a new defense. So I'm not concerned about it in the least. Last question, Jerry Cole. Could we use Darwin Thompson as a bargain chip for Pat Pete? I don't think so. The bottom line is, while I am a staunch proponent of the run game, I'm not very high on the value of any one running back, because especially in the one gap zone run attack, you don't need that much. You need physicality. You need to be able to find the hole. The open vision stuff, the stuff that made Jamal Charles so good, the stuff that makes Shady very good, that's a nice bonus, but you don't have to have it to have a productive run game. So I don't think teams put value on that. Corner is way above running back in terms of the echelon of values per position. Scott Meza is fuller trade material. I don't think so. Between his performance last year and so far this year, and the fact he'll need a big contract after this season, I don't think he's trade material. So anyway, thank you guys for all of your time. I love doing these. We made it over an hour with 200 people plus, so good job. Spread the word. Tell your friends. Get on here with us. There's a lot of folks in Colorado that watch this because they're Chiefs fans and they feel alone. And I've known how that's been. So let's grow the whole group. And I appreciate you guys hanging out. I'll have more videos for you. Midweek will be film review. End of the week will be game plan for next week. So enjoy Monday Night Football. Check out those Raiders, and I'll talk to you guys next time.